can you tell me first what I know we were in the Q&A before, but tell me briefly about like the inspiration of the short film and how it came together.
Okay, so 72 explores lust as a motivation for terrorism. I was listening to the song Pretty Maids All in a Row by the Eagles over the summer, and it just really made me think of this idea of like this heavenly experience and lusting after, women in heaven. And that made me think of the 72 virgins, and I was just going to school. I was just starting school at NYU Tisch, and around there, a lot of the city is still haunted by 9/11, and so I kind of put those two together, and I thought, what if I explored lust instead of this anti-Western death to America ideology, but instead lust and love as an exploration for terrorism, and so yeah, that was what I wanted to portray.
Now, the subject matter itself is such a a touchy topic in the landscape that we live in these days. So was that a concern of yours to have that to make a film about that subject matter?
Yeah, it was. It was not a major concern initially, simply because there had been no real prevalent terrorist attacks there had been no real recent terrorist attacks that had happened on a large scale when we went into the production of the film. That said, in the middle of the production of the film, the Paris attacks happened, which was kind of the first set of attacks that set off a stream of terrorist attacks that have happened recently. And so that was when it really became real for us as a crew, and we realized what we were making, like fiction, had kind of become reality. And so then we realized how careful we had to be portraying the topic and things like that. Yeah.
On that same note, with folks that I guess you could say similar religious. Have you had any folks? I guess a better question would be: have you had any folks in the audience that have had an opportunity to see the film that have approached you and that idea of offensive, exactly, in terms of how you portray like the beliefs of your your main character?
Yeah, especially because Islamophobia has resurfaced as an issue in this country. That has definitely become a concern with the film, right? And I really know that festivals that do show the film, it's a very brave decision to show the film because it's a controversial topic, and with candidates such as Donald Trump wanting to ban Muslims and things like that, it can be very touchy to portray an Arab-looking man as a terrorist in a film. That said, the intention of the film is not to generalize or demonize anyone. What it does is it's supposed to play with audience perception, because you don't initially know he's a terrorist, and you kind of take him on a journey where he goes to a tailor and gets a jacket, but then he meets a suspicious character in a music store, but the character only gives him a guitar case. Essentially, the film is just meant to, in a way, humanize its protagonist by portraying this intense desire for women in heaven as motivating his act. But as far as screenings have gone, there has not been a real, as far as the festivals it's shown it. Yeah, exactly. There hasn't been. No one has really come up to me and found the film offensive, because I think the way we did it was very tastefully done. The dream sequence is tastefully done. I was very careful in the editing, which takes I selected, things like that. The actor doesn't say a lot of lines, and I think because there's not so much dialogue in the film and it's kind of just quiet and puts you in the bird's eye point of view, it makes you question your own stereotypes and prejudices. So in the festival circuit, no, it has not had too many adverse reactions. So it's been pretty well received so far, I would say. Yeah.
I know we were talking about it briefly just now. You were saying that there was another film that you are in the process of working on. Are you able to comment on that at all, or is it still too early? Okay, go ahead.
No, absolutely. So the next film I'm working on, currently editing, hopefully we'll have it done in a couple of months so I can ship it off to some festivals over the summer. It stars Stephen Kramer Glickman, who plays Gustavo Rock on Big Time Rush, the Nickelodeon series. Did like 80 episodes with them. Also recently was one of the voices in Storks, the Warner Brothers animated film. But essentially the film is entitled Academy of Eden, and it follows an abusive Christian-based boarding school. It's inspired by true events about these for-profit institutions that imprison teens at their parents' will. Essentially, parents have their kids picked up in the middle of the night and sent to these essentially prisons for teens, but they've committed no crime. And the story follows this main character, Daniel, as he gets to school, and he falls in love with a girl named Amanda, and it kind of traces their romance in the context of this boarding school where romantic relations are strictly prohibited. And the film's going to be hopefully around 15 minutes. Stephen Glickman plays the headmaster, Zachariah, who runs the school. Very duplicitous character. Seems like he has good intentions at first, but he has a very sinister side. And the movie is a proof of concept short for a full-length feature script that I'm currently writing right now. And hopefully by shopping the short around the festival circuit, I'll be able to attract investors and other high-profile talent to partake in the full-length feature film.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate your time.